Common Good City Farm. I'm an urban farmer here. It's so good to have you with us today on this DC virtual farm field trip tour. We wish you could be here with us, but hopefully we'll have you back here in the future soon. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of our tools that we use here on the farm on a day-to-day basis. We use these tools for everything from bed prepping to planting to pulling out weeds to planting trees. Basically every day we use a combination of these hand tools to get the work that we need to done. So it's super essential to have the right tools here for us. So to get started, this is the broad fork. So the broad fork is used for aerating soil and actually starting to create a garden bed. So what you would do, it might be a little bit too compacted in this soil to do it, but you basically step on it. These tines right here go into the earth and kind of create a little bit of space and start to open up air pockets. So that way oxygenation can occur and plants can break down and you can start to build healthy soil that can feed plants. Here we have a digging fork, which is super good for example, if you're harvesting your carrots, your spring carrots. If the soil is kind of hard, you can basically go along the edge of the bed and just kind of, loosen it up by digging those tines in there and lightly lifting a little bit. And also for potatoes, digging potatoes, super good tool for digging potatoes. Another on-farm essential for us. Here's a couple of garden hose that are really important for what we do. This is called a hula hoe. So with a hula hoe, the blade here, it's kind of shaped like a stirrup or like a hula hoop in a way. The blade goes an inch or two into the soil, basically cutting off any baby weeds at the roots so that you don't have to worry about hand pulling them later. And it's a good way to kind of weed a large space fairly quickly when the weeds are little babies still. This one here is called a field hoe. So you use this for getting kind of big plants out of the ground, maybe doing like a light weeding across a whole garden bed. It's another really good one to have. This is called a hard rake. Super important tool. We use it every day. When you're planting your tomatoes, planting your peppers, your basil, whatever it might be, you need to use this to bed prep. So you're leveling out your bed, you're removing any debris off the bed, and then at the end, once you've planted everything, or before you planted everything, depending on how you do it, you are using this to rake the straw, rake your mulch back onto your bed to make sure that everything is insulated and the soil is covered. So having a hard rake is really important on a farm. Multiple hard rakes. This is your classic shovel. This is really important for digging holes where you can plant things, or if you have like a really deeply rooted weed that you can't hand pull, or even if you cut it back at the soil, it keeps coming back. You need a shovel to be able to just really dig around those roots and get that out. Same for planting asparagus or fruit trees. A shovel is super important to have on the farm. So another hand tool we use is called a trowel. Trowels come in different shapes and sizes. This one's really nice because it's kind of sharp and thin. So say when you're planting your tomato seedling, you can dig this into the ground, kind of make a little space for yourself, and then be able to plant your seedling more easily. Or if you're weeding and there's these weeds that are kind of hard to pull out, you can kind of get underneath the roots with a trowel and pull them out more easily. So a really good thing to have. Everyone knows what this is. It's a watering can. All of our little babies in the greenhouse that we start, we water with watering cans. Everything that we start in the greenhouse and then plant into the field, transplant it, we have to water it in, which is basically where you give the newly planted tomato or pepper or whatever it might be water so that the roots can bind to the soil particles and allow the plant to grow and start to live in that new spot. So watering cans are super essential, you know, because we all know that plants need sunlight, water, you know, and good soil to grow. And so the final tool we're going to talk about here today is the wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow is so versatile of a tool. It's used for example, carrying tools out into the field. You know, you can put them in there and then make it easier to transport more tools. You can weed a bed and then collect all of the weeds and put them in the wheelbarrow, and then which makes it easier to go then and dump it off at the compost. So many uses for a wheelbarrow. Putting wood chips in there for mulch. So yeah, as you can see, these are kind of a spread of tools that are really important. We do all of our work with hand tools because it's a small enough scale here, and we try to use really regenerative farming practices. So we really rely on these hand tools to get the job done. So we just explained to you the uses for all these tools. So now we're going to go out into the field and actually show you how we would complete a task using the tools we just talked about. All right, come with me. So here we are on the farm, and we have an empty garden bed here. This is going to be zucchinis. So what we'll have to do is to prep the bed to make it ready for zucchinis. So the first step of that, because there's some weeds in here that I see, right? We don't want to plant the zucchinis in there when there's too many weeds because there'll be too much competition and not enough space for them. So what I'm going to do is actually go and probably pull back the straw a little bit to the side, just to be able to see all the weeds and see how the bed is looking, you know. I'll just do that much for now. And then I'd probably come through maybe with this field hoe here. Kind of do like a light layer, like a light weeding like this over the surface of the bed. And this is minimally invasive to the soil, which is better than tilling, which really disrupts soil structure. So having a field hoe is a really nice way to give some more love to your soil too. So here's how we would use the field hoe, or the hula hoe, sorry. So you kind of just run it right under maybe the top inch or two of the soil, and it cuts the roots off right underneath the soil top layer, effectively killing the plant in its place. So it's a really helpful weeding tool. So now that we've weeded our empty bed here, right, what I would come back through, I might collect the big ones, you know, put them to the side, put them in my wheelbarrow for later. And then I would come and just pull the straw back over the bed. Break the straw, kind of a nice even layer back over the bed, so that we are protecting our soil, we're keeping it insulated, we're locking in more moisture, so we have to water less with our irrigation. We're making those worms and fungi and nematodes and bacteria happy, you know, by keeping it covered. So yeah, that's basically how we would prep a bed using our farm tools. Hope you enjoyed.